So welcome, Anaiya, to the Healthy Love Show.
Thank you
It's
so
wonderful.
much. It's an honor to be here.
It's such an honor to meet you. I feel like I've known about you for so long, and it's so wonderful to be in your space finally.
Oh, thank you.
So, Anaiya Sophia is a mystic, storyteller, soul oracle, and author of Revelatory Wisdom. She teaches workshops throughout the world and is best known for the creation of Sacred Body Awakening. And am I right that you're in the south of France in a very beautiful space? Do you want to share about that, really?
Yes. Well, there's one other word you missed out, and that's shepherdess.
Oh,
because
shepherdess. Okay, let me get that
because
down. Say
oh my
more.
gosh, my entire life has changed since moving in. And I realize now that this house and myself are becoming one. And that I
Wow.
seem to have stepped into another phase of life, which is absolutely centered around this house. We live in the French Pyrenees, so it's a very mountainous place. It's very famous for its history, the Cathars, Mary Magdalene, Knights Templar, Romans, you name it, they've passed through and left their mark here. It's particularly, the veil is thin here. It's
Mm.
very easy to turn sideways and disappear into the other world where you get to meet so much more than our five senses can comprehend. It's
Oh,
incredible.
okay. I know I'm getting full body chills as I hear you describe that. So I'd love to let's tie that in because I think a lot of viewers are relatively new to your work. So we could start anywhere. I'd love you to just share. We could begin with the sacred feminine or what sacred body awakening is and how does the veil being thin relevant to that. Let's tie it all together.
Yeah. Well, I think let's start with I've always been a very creative and imaginative little being, even when I was a kid. I was an only child, so I developed my imagination and my friends on the inside. And over the course of the years, I've been many things from fashion designer to yoga teacher to womb wisdom creator to sacred union to the sacred feminine, sacred body awakening, and now this house. And this house is where it all comes together. So I've always been so curious about the masculine and feminine and our embodiment of those to become that mystical third being when that union is embodied. I've always been very keen and interested in intimacy and how can a human being really open up? And more importantly, how can he or she stay open in those moments of conflict and resistance and denial and all of that stuff. So
Mm.
I think I'm like an alchemist or something. I love to put two pairs of opposites together and see what happens.
Amazing, amazing. So I love what you're sharing. And we are mostly an audience of driven single women looking to create connected, healthy love.
Mm.
So I love what you shared about how can we be open and stay open. And as I was reading and preparing for this, I know you shared part of Sacred Body Awakening was finding places in us that are holding on to sexual trauma, heartbroken memories, or rejected parts of the self. And
Mm.
so I'm curious if you could speak into how do we begin to open if we desire that intimacy, if we've had sexual trauma or those rejected parts of self.
Yeah. Well, what I've noticed is that we can only go so far with therapy, with remission, with rebirthing, with talking about it. And that the final piece, perhaps, I don't know for sure, but it's currently where I am. The
Mhm.
final piece could perhaps be the coming together with another one or two. I like to do Sacred Body Awakening in threes. where
Mm.
we actually bring in the body. And if we can, the naked body, because number one, there's nowhere left to hide.
Yes.
Number two, you were probably in a form of nakedness when the trespass happened.
Mm.
And number three, by golly, there's a lot of comfort and care that can come in through the skin to skin contact.
Mm.
But this meeting has to be 101% safe.
Yes.
It can't be 99, because the 1% of us that has been traumatized will know there's 1% missing.
Yes.
So this requires true, honest, transparent, vulnerable, loving and humble beings to take another one through this very beautiful, very vulnerable, very amazing practice and process. Protest, no,
Yes.
that's a different conversation.
The body's in protest, perhaps, until it's not.
Absolutely. And it is possible. It is very possible. You don't need to be a trained therapist. You don't need to be a body worker. This is the amazing thing. It's like within the female body, there is a remembrance, I call it, of the temple,
Mm.
where a woman or girl could take you through an astonishing process that may have been made up of bathing, of anointing, of holding, of praying over, of singing over, of rocking. I'm thinking somatic movement.
Yeah.
And then the body recognized, wow, all the elements are here. And et voila, it opens, and the trespass is released, and there's a good old, honest, clean cry. And then you come out the other side like, it's flipping done. It's done. And it's simple.
Mm.
But the simplicity is one thing. The presence you hold as you go into it, that's another quality altogether.
Yes, I was feeling into that as you were speaking, that the person holding the container would need to be exceptionally clean
Yes.
and mindful. And
Yes.
the thing that's occurring for me in this moment is for the listeners who are desiring this, Anaiya, but they might, am I saying that correctly, Anaiya?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to confirm. If they can't get to the Pyrenees just yet, where can they begin? Where might they begin? Because this sounds so incredible in terms of remembering the temple. What might they do themselves or with a sister or a trusted woman in their life?
We can, in actual fact, really facilitate our first couple of steps with ourselves or with
Mm.
another one, because there's the part of us that has experienced the trespass. There's the part of us that's closed, resisting, and not opening up. But then there's another part of us that is mature, that is unscarred,
Yeah.
that is fully and astonishingly healed, and is so fabulously loving, patient, and caring. It's probably on the inside, and we might call it our soul or something like that.
Mhm.
But to bring that part forward, one of the ways I would bring that forward is free moving dance
Yes.
and prayer and embodiment, and the permission to move and sound and breathe and incant and enchant and summon. So it's like we bring the soul forward and we make it bigger and brighter. And then
Mm.
we befriend the other part of us, which is damaged and traumatized and broken. And we, as the soul, so the soul in the body, starts caressing the body, rocking the body. It's all very somatic stuff. And you
Yes.
can pray for yourself out loud, which
Mm.
is incredible to hear, especially when your voice is full of love and sincerity.
Mm,
Because it's all
abs-
within. I want to just say to all those ladies up there in the boxes, we all remember the temple. We
mm,
can remember those ancient ways. It was
mm,
in every single country, every single tribe, tradition, and community.
mm.
And we've been on a journey that took that away from us, and men. The men miss it too.
Yes.
But luckily, we hid it within ourselves in the human body. And all it requires is a certain touch, a certain gesture upon the skin, and it all starts tumbling out of us.
That's amazing. And I just want to pause. This is so incredible. I just want to check, are other people seeing her screen frozen? Or is that just my, it's frozen? Okay, I don't, and I just so you know, your video has frozen. You look adorable. It's not a crazy freeze. You look very beautiful and welcoming. So I can hear you. So we could just continue with this if that works. Or
Yes, yes,
it,
yes.
maybe hide your video if you don't want there to be a screenshot for the entire interview, if you want to. Or you can leave it. It's
I don't
really
mind.
okay,
I
then let's
don't
go
mind.
for it.
Yeah, it might unblock in a minute.
Okay, perfect. Um, so I love what you shared. I was feeling kind of crunchy this morning, and I was like, "Body, what do you desire?" And she was like, "Dance so hard to Jessie Ware wildest moments." And I did it for 15 minutes, and it was like it transmuted the energy from so stuck and to and it takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes to embody myself. So anyway, I'm just reflecting how true what you're sharing is, and that's obviously the surface level. But yeah, sorry, I digress. So then, so I wonder, I love what you say, that it's the soul in our body caressing these wounded parts.
Mm.
And so that could be, it almost, would you say, doesn't matter how the women would touch their body, as long as the intention is to bring that love to these parts?
Mm.
Or what
Mm.
intention would you have them hold while they're
Well,
doing?
one of the ways is I work a lot with oil, and remembering again that sort of mystery school of the miraphor, the women who bared or carried myrrh.
Mm,
It's another quality of the priestess path, working with
mm,
sacred oils. So I might just take a hand and coat it in a very potent ancient oil,
mm,
which will make my hand glisten. So
mm,
of course, if I'm facing a window or I'm outside, I can really see with my normal eyes the light that is upon my hand. And
mm,
then I would speak out loud prayer into my hand. So I would
mm,
pray for myself, and I would imagine that the words are appearing on my hand. And
mm,
so I've got light, I've got sound, and I've got word. And then it is that which caresses the part of the body that remembers that trespass, or remembers
mm,
that mean comment,
mm,
or remembers, a particularly hostile relationship. And you see,
mm.
different parts of the body hold different memories. So, like shoulders, that's a time of stress and burdens and carrying a lot of weight.
Yes.
Mind is obviously depression and isolation and being hunted down by thoughts. Heart is obviously love and disappointment, forgiveness, and patience. Lower back, support, protection, feeling as if you're part of something and belonging.
Mm,
reproductive system, yoni, womb, is all about creativity, beauty, totally becoming woman, pregnancy, babies, sexuality, sensuality, and just a feeling of being able to really sit down heavy into our womb yoni and be really okay with it all. So the body is a map. There are many presences, many voices inside of the body. And if I may, because it just keeps popping up into my head.
Please. Please.
I guess I'm on the mystical Christ path. So yes, I'm a Christian, but I'm a mystical one, and I love studying the feminine saints.
Yes,
because they didn't get written down. Their tales did not get told, and they're a very wild bunch. So,
can you
for instance,
yes, exactly. Please share.
There is a saint. Her name was Agnes, Saint Agnes of Rome. They're always so young. They had babies at such early ages. Well, Saint Agnes's son was suffering from severe depression. And he was really losing his way. He was drinking, he was going to the brothel, he was doing everything completely opposite to St. Agnes. And the thing is, he wasn't happy. He came to his mum desperate for guidance and really wanting to straighten his life out. So she contemplated on this, and in her isolation, because she chose to be in a cell in a monastery, she decided to rebirth him through prayer, through ecstatic, full-bodied birthing prayer. So she took herself through a birthing process with all the grunts and groans and contractions and pushing and holding and pausing and breathing and going for it again. So she actually went through another birth invisibly with her son.
Wow.
And all the other sisters were like, what on earth is going on in St. Agnes's cell? Because it sounded like a woman was giving birth, and she was. A few days later, her son came back, transformed. So there's a revealing of that feminine wildness that's in her body. St. Agnes didn't kneel down and pray quietly, asking for divine intervention. She just got on with it and did it herself. And of course, you don't get stories like that in the Bible.
Right. So this is one of the things that your work is doing, is correcting the narrative or adding to amplifying the narrative with strong female saints. And
I'm trying to regather and retrieve all the embodied ways us women used to get things done.
Yes.
To heal one another.
Yes. So that's such a perfect transition, because, you know, the focus of this series is how can we embody joy for most of the viewers who are single while we are creating connected, healthy love. So could you share, I've heard you say ecstatic dance, but what are some other ways, Anaiya, that they might embody joy and this feminine wildness that you were describing with St. Agnes?
Well, another one of my little funny processes I've created is to play perhaps some rhythmic music. Music that, whoa, you're on your way. But you're sat cross-legged, and you know, you're sat in a very traditional meditative posture, you know, hands in Gyan Mudra, perhaps. To the outside world, it looks as if nothing's going on. But on the inside, everything's happening. So what you do is you place a masculine version of yourself at the crown in a kind of like Shiva or Christ-like Zen posture. But the image of your masculine self is actually rather fabulous. There is definitely an element of, my God, you're gorgeous. There's an element of attraction. You want to go to him. Perhaps the body is naked from the waist upwards. So when I imagine this, I do imagine a Shiva character, but he's tattooed and he's very, very, very fit, long dark hair, and looking a little bit like Jesus.
That's going to be my next dating profile. Go on. Go on.
So I leave him up there knowing that it is me. It's me, with a divine filter. And then I go down to my root. And then I start to become something more serpentine, something more from the earth, feminine now. And so with the rhythmic tribal music, I imagine that as a snake, I'm coming out of my tail and I'm actually coiling myself to our lower legs.
Oh.
So this snake is like wanting to give us delicious feelings on purpose. And so it's rubbing around the back of our spine, coming up a little bit, going back down again, coming up a little bit. And so it's actually doing the full yogic thing of piercing through every chakra. Because you're on your way, you're making your way to that masculine embodiment at the crown. That is a very fabulous, very real, and incredibly joyful process, because the joy is coming from, oh my God, I can do this myself. This is a self-generative ecstasy prayer, actually.
Yes. I love this so much. I am already like playing the song in my head that's occurring for me by Fantagram. It's like perfect. It might have too many lyrics, but that's so powerful, and I love it.
The song I use is called Eastern Chant by Peruaqua. Hopefully we've all heard of Peruaqua. She's an Australian sacred feminine artist who works with her voice. Amazing.
How do you spell Peruaqua?
It's Peru, Peru, Oquiois.
Thank you so much. That's amazing.
There it is. Someone's just typed it.
Oh, thank you. So this is actually very fascinating, and I'm having an instinct to ask about this, because you mentioned this beautiful, delicious, handsome Christ masculine part. So could you share more, Anaiya, about, since this is the question that's occurring for me, it's like a lot of us are very driven women, and some of us kind of had to develop kind of masculine ways of being to survive, to make it in America, or make it in whatever country they're in. And for me, I can speak for myself personally. It feels sometimes like my sacred feminine, or my understanding of that, just almost gets like thrown away or sat on in order to get work done. And so for the past like year or two, I've been really focusing on how is it possible to bring in my feminine into the creative process. So I guess I wonder if you could just speak into, what would you invite any driven woman who's been trained into her masculine, and I think everything you just shared is part of this, but how else might we invite the feminine in a way that feels safe, perhaps?
Absolutely. Oh, to all you driven women out there, hello. I used to be one, and I still am, because it's not about getting rid of the masculine.
Mm.
It's about bringing the feminine to the same level. So you
Ooh.
can still be driven. But what I noticed is this, and it does seem to be recognized. When we develop our masculine selves, we're very much in charge and we're very much in control.
Yes.
And the feminine is the other side of that. So letting go and losing control and surrendering leadership is the way to head. One
Oh,
of the anything that involves the body is a real thumbs up with the feminine.
okay.
I found myself sort of diving into sweat lodges and
Mm.
kind of shamanic rituals in the forest. And of
Mm.
course, at first, it's so awkward. You feel silly. You feel
Yes.
embarrassed. You feel ashamed. You see everyone else having a great old time dancing, and you think, I can't dance like that. You know, I just can't. My body doesn't do things like that. But
Yes.
you gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. And there will be something that really speaks to you. And you'll say to yourself, yeah, I can let go into this.
Mm.
For me, it was darkness. There was something about the darkness of that sweat lodge. And when
Mm.
I was in the States with Lakota people,
Yes.
that's when I realized, oh, this is how a sweat lodge is meant. It was very disciplined. You weren't allowed out. So,
Wow.
you know, there was me in my little British voice saying, oh, can I get out now? I'm a bit hot. No, no, ma'am, you cannot get out. If you need to take a breath, you lie down. You lie down and you get your beautiful little face in that sweaty soil. And that took me to the next level. And I was also told, if you're struggling, pray out loud. And so, of course, the prayer was very, very real. And I had wonderful breakthroughs.
I love that so much. Such an incredible thing to imagine you in that situation. And yet I also want to be there all at once. It sounds
Yes, yes.
lovely in some ways. So you mentioned letting go and surrendering. And
Mm.
so I think two things are occurring for me. It's like, how did you and do we, like, there's a good reason that we don't want to let go and
Yes,
surrender.
yes.
So first of all, what are the benefits of it once you do? Like, why is it worth pursuing? And how do we feel safe in doing so?
Well, what is the other side of letting go is grace.
Mm.
Grace is a very, very big gift from the sacred feminine. So the
Mm.
masculine part of us can never, ever, ever, ever produce grace. It can
Mm.
produce results and achievements and success and
Mm.
money and status, but grace, no, no. The other side of all of this control is freedom, it's liberty, uh,
Mm.
the wide openness of the mind and consciousness,
Mm.
seeing things as they really are,
Mm.
perhaps meeting a divine counterpart.
Mm.
There is so much the other side of control and leadership. It's like, yeah, for sure, another world, and all who live there comes to meet you,
Mm.
and wisdom. It's like when the mind, that part of the mind, the masculine mind, pauses and allows something else to take over. It gets to glimpse these presences and places of wisdom, which
Yes.
it then realizes, oh my God, my knowledge, which is masculine knowledge, my knowledge is limited. But this
Mm.
place over here in the feminine side of the brain is infinite. And so hopefully that masculine part of us that is interested in expansion and learning and understanding and wanting to know everything, it's going to go, oh, this is interesting. All right, come on, let's lose control.
It's so true. It's so true. That's interesting. It's almost an incentive using the masculine benefits to woo it into the feminine.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know what, oh gosh. I feel like sharing this because it does feel relevant. Like, just for anyone watching, like I'll share this and then I'll ask a question, which is like, I was very in my head. I still can be. And until I discovered orgasmic meditation when they had the studios in New York City. Yes. I remember like never being more present to what surrender required or involved. Absolutely. Than being in a room full of people with strangers asking you if you'd like to own and, you know, get naked and have them stroke your clitoris for 12 minutes. And, you know, it was so random how I ended up in that room. It was so accidental, but I knew that spirit was like, go. Yes. And I remember like the first, you know, 5 months I was in the process, I would try to control my body's response and like refuse, because a part of me didn't want a man to feel like he had like the power to like please. And then I realized like what that was costing me. And I like, there just came a moment when it was more painful to resist than to, it's like, there was such a powerful moment of affirming internally, it is good to feel pleasure. It is safe to receive. Yes. And then like what became possible from that moment forward was enormous. Yes. So I think I share that to ask for people who aren't in a one taste orgasmic meditation practice, like how do they engage the resistance and the to surrender and to letting go? How can they start to yeah.
Well, another methodology which is fantastic is de-armoring. I never actually worked with someone who was a de-armorer, although at the time I think that's what was happening. When I was in London, I used to have monthly massages by the Maori healers.
Wow.
So
probably counts.
It was 4 males who were Maori, coming from New Zealand, hardly spoke a word of English, and 1 lady. Wow. And by golly, they would use chair legs, they would use musical instruments, they would sit and twist and pull and press. always to the point of tears. And it was pain, but it was a safe pain. It wasn't a dangerous pain. It's not like you're going to rip or tear or pull something. Yeah. It's just pain. These indigenous people knew exactly how to get into the pain storage centers of the body. And if you're like, please don't stop, they're just giving you this beautiful, wide Maori grin and singing. They don't stop. And then you break. And it's like your body has become a snow globe. Do you remember those little toys we had?
Oh, yes.
You grab, that's it. And it's just like white everywhere. And, you know, you're in that grace, you're in that bliss. So that one really worked.
Man.
I love practices like that.
So I'm just like, that sounds so incredible. And I'm translating that into like what the ladies listening might do. It's like you could bring an intention perhaps to de-armor quite simply and to open to letting go and surrender, and ask
Yeah.
a masseuse or someone you love, perhaps, but maybe a masseuse, to do the deepest tissue work and inside the intention to release all that is attached to control or what have you.
Absolutely. And whilst we're in this, COVID situation with social distancing,
Yeah.
some of us are in different phases of this
Yes.
journey, but we could do fabulously painful things like lying down on 2 tennis balls so
Yes.
that we can get into our kidneys or our tummy, diaphragm, solar plexus.
Mm.
Trust me, ladies, that's going to be just as painful as the Maori healers. But remember, it's not about pain. We're not here
Yes.
to self-inflict pain.
Yeah.
We're looking to get behind the pain
Yeah.
and to breathe and to sound and to pray our way through to reach that softening, because that's what's happening.
Yes.
There's going to be a softening. There'll be a tightening, and then there'll be a softening, and then it's just
Yes.
downhill all the way, and it's gorgeous.
I'm almost feeling, Anaiya, that this might be accessible. Like, I did African dance classes before COVID that I love. And it was all about like breaking the chains, and just like, if you really went for it, it almost feels like there's a way you could dance yourself into a state of
Yes.
surrender, also.
Yes.
Possibly.
Absolutely. Definitely. It's like all of these practices, everything we've spoken of today, this is all the hub of the sacred feminine. This is her work.
Yes.
This is her domain. This is her great, great gift to us.
Yes. I love it so much. I mean, I feel I have touched on the major questions that I have. I don't know much about Lilith and Eve. I kept reading people talking about how important it was to integrate. Does that feel relevant? And you know more than I do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's been another huge piece of my life as well.
Okay.
Recognizing, I mean, the moment it really stood out was when I was training to become a Kundalini yoga teacher.
Okay.
So during the day, I was wearing my white yoga clothes, and at times, practicing with the white turban. You don't have to wear a white turban, but I thought, oh, in for a penny, in for a pound, give me the white turban. So I was really becoming a very good student. I was, changing my diet, fasting, cleansing, doing everything that was asked of me. But I was only 27, 28, and so at night I wanted to go clubbing in London. So, of course, the attire would change completely. I mean, completely, a 180-degree turn. And on would come the high heels and the wig and the corsetry. Remember, I was in fashion at the time. So then I'd step into a taxi and make my way to about 3 to 4 clubs that night. And then I'd go back to the yoga at 5 a.m. wearing my white and having my hair wrapped up again. And that's when I realized, oh my God, I'm experiencing such a strong duality. But the two parts of me were 100% real. I loved dressing up like that. The majority of the clubs I went to were gay clubs, which gave me even more permission to push the envelope on dancing and sexuality and becoming everything I wanted to become in this wonderfully safe environment.
Wow.
But then I was having real trouble integrating because the yoga world was saying, no, no, no.
Yes.
And the clubbing world was also saying, no, no, no. And then years later, probably when I was doing my womb wisdom journey, recognizing that this duality was actually becoming very, very uncomfortable and becoming a bit of a soul wound. It wasn't going away. As I worked more with the Kundalini energy from the yoga practice. So that part of me that used to appear at night, she too was drinking from this well of ecstatic energy. So I thought, I know, if I just do more yoga, that other part will grow quiet. No way.
Oh.
The two parts of me amplified. And then I realized, I came across the story of the whore and the Madonna. And I thought, yeah, that's good words, but I don't want to call it those words. I'm going to go for Lilith and Eve. And that kind of like made it a little bit more reachable, attainable.
Yes.
Madonna and whore is like, whoa, those archetypes are like, how on earth am I going to make contact with them two? But Lilith and Eve made it personal and reachable. And so I had to go on a very big journey, and then to create a body of work, a little insect on my computer, I had to create a body of work for others to follow me in to this practice, this process, to bring integration.
And this is so powerful. I'm so glad that we went into this. And is it just, I'm intuiting it's not, but in terms of the parts, does this work for any woman who feels like she's carrying big identities that are in kind of schism? Or is it strictly about that kind of intensely, I don't know what you described, the version of you with the wig and the corset versus the more, disciplined yogi?
Yes. Well, it can show up in very sensitive ways, like you were saying with the Om meditation.
Yeah.
You can be appearing and feeling yourself to be quite a normal, integrated, whole woman. And then you start having sexual experiences which are really off the chart and epic and amazing. But then there's a part of you that kicks in that says, no, 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 too much, too good, too amazing. No, I need to rein this in.
Yes.
Saying that. So that's the energy again at play. So you're ashamed of yourself opening up sexually. That's Eve. Ashamed of dressing fabulously for a party. That's Eve. Ashamed of owning your sexual self, your beauty, your power, your voice, your creativity, the strength and the allure in your body. That's Eve. Going the other way, fear of settling down to one man. That's Lilith. Fear of having children and starting a family. That's Lilith. Fear of having a sensible relationship and committing to monogamy. That's Lilith. What's another? So basically, Lilith has Eve's power. And Eve has Lilith's love. And of course, these are stationed in the heart and the womb. And so we'll always feel as if we're missing something really important. And so when we bring these two together, they gift each other back the power and the love, because Lilith cannot fall in love.
Right.
Lilith, there's no way Lilith can open her heart and become intimate with anyone. And of course, Eve can't say boo to a goose. She's the perfect mother, wife, girlfriend. She's lovely. She's just like so charming and wonderful. She cannot speak truth to power.
Yes.
Whereas Lilith may meet a mate that she sort of feels something for, but it's just no. I don't commit. I don't love. There's no way I'm stepping out of this outfit. So the two are actually very unhappy. We
Yeah,
need each other.
it's it's so powerful. I'm so glad that we went there.
Yeah.
And I'm just mindful of the time. And I know women, if women want to learn more about that specifically, what would be the best way? We're going to talk about your gift in just a sec. Um, we have the wounds of love transmission. But how could they learn more about Lilith and Eve specifically?
Well, I have a lot of material on my website, articles, recordings, videos.
Okay.
It's all there really, and that's anayasophia.com.
Yes. Okay. Gorgeous. So this has been so incredible. And before we go to your gift, the final question is, what is the one thing, Anaiya, that you would invite all viewers to do or be to embody joy on their path to creating connected love in the best way?
I think it goes back to the tremendous gift that COVID has actually brought us. And that
Mhm.
is our rushing back to the natural world as fast as possible.
Yes.
There is so much in that natural world, and it's more. I'm looking out the window now, and it's more than what we see. There
Mm.
is another layer behind this greenery or these blue waves or wherever you find yourself. I'm in the mountains. There's
Mhm.
another layer that the feminine can easily connect into, and it's her secret helpers.
Mm.
Whether it's herbs or processes that the natural world provide. I sleep a lot in caves.
Mm.
I really do go and seek out that darkness and that silence. I love spending the night outdoors as often as possible.
Yes.
But where I live, this Cathar, Mary Magdalene area, all you have to do is walk and walk and walk for a few hours, and the land starts revealing. You know, there's memories here, there's stories here. So the feminine isn't meant to be by herself.
Mm.
Her help, her
Mm.
wisdom, her medicine is in the natural world. See and hear and smell things as they really are. And I really believe, my goodness, if we all realized this within the next couple of years, we will be a totally different kind of human being.
Mm. Amen. So
Mm,
beautiful. After we finished yesterday, I was just feeling super emotional and walked into the garden that's nearby. It's
mm,
this old house that became a public garden. And I just cried for a while. And like I felt like nature just coming in and holding me. I saw a little robin learning to fly and
yeah, yeah,
three little baby like stags. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I was just
yes,
like overwhelmed by the beauty of it all. And I need that. So it's available even in small places in suburbia or cities.
absolutely.
You can find it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so before we go, would you share a little about just briefly the wounds of the love transmission?
Yeah, so the wounds of love, this piece of work was coming through again from the Christ path, looking closely at the step by step process of the crucifixion or the passion.
Mhm.
And I realized, oh my goodness, after studying it for a long period of time, there are 5 key elements going on here. There's the betrayal, there's the denial, there's the judgment,
Mm.
there's the separation, and finally, there's this sense of abandonment. And I
Mm.
went, hang on a minute, that feels awfully familiar. Is this not what we walk through in our own relationships?
Mm.
Betrayal, denial, judgment, separation, and abandonment. Yes.
Mm.
So I looked at the way Christ did it, what he responded to as those things came up.
Mm.
And because, this is my inspiration, I want to try very hard. No, try, that's a terrible word. I want to commit myself deeply
Yes.
to walking a path as true as his and hers, Mary's.
Mm,
So I realized how they responded, and it made a heck of a lot of sense to
mm.
respond in this same way, although the ego did not like one bit of it. And so that's where it came from, the antidotes, these balms to these wounds of love that can only be inflicted when you're in a loving relationship.
Yes.
So, for instance, betrayal, what to reach for when you feel betrayed, or you are the betrayer.
Mm,
Well, you would reach for trust. Isn't that a paradox? Isn't that a complete head spin?
mm.
Trust the betrayal?
Yeah.
On a certain level, yes. Actually, yes. Because this
Mm,
is what Jesus did. This is what Mary did. This is what these, holy saints, Saint Agnes, this is what they did.
mhm,
They didn't trust a human being. They
mm,
trusted the greater sense of things, that this
mm,
is here for a reason. So let's just go through it completely.
mm. I love that. That alone would be so transformative to take that on as a way of being.
Yeah,
Would be so powerful. Oh
yeah.
my gosh, Anaya,
Yeah.
I want to come hang with you so
Oh,
much.
that would be lovely.
It
Yeah.
would be lovely. And all the ladies watching can also do so on your website. Things will be opening up again sometime, or have they already opened up?
Yes. Well, got a little bit of news yesterday that France is indeed accepting non-vaccinated people in from everywhere, including the States. So,
Wow.
but as we know, it changes every day. But
That's
that was
true.
yesterday's news.
Okay.
Yes.
Ooh, summer planning.
Yeah.
So if women are interested in deepening to this work, definitely go get Anaya's gifts, check out her website and see the incredible space. We just touched on it so briefly. And I know there's so much to see and learn. So thank you so much for being with us, Anaiya. It
Oh,
is
thank you
such
so
a
much.
pleasure.
And thank you, ladies up there in the boxes. Enjoy the rest of the wonderful speakers coming on.